Hey guys, welcome back to T-Bones Tech. In today's video, we are going to be comparing the Canon T7 against the Canon SL2. The Canon T7 is Canon's cheapest DSLR, coming in at $550. And the Canon SL2 is Canon's second cheapest DSLR, coming in at $650 on Amazon. That is $50 off the original MSRP. But this camera's been around for over 6 months, so that's to be expected. For current pricing and availability, I'm going to leave links in the description down below to the Canon T7 and the SL2. These prices are constantly changing, so if you guys want the most updated price, make sure to check out those links. First off, both these cameras share the exact same 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, but the image processors are very different. The T7 has a very old Digic 4 Plus image processor, and the SL2 is equipped with Canon's Digic 7 image processor, which is one of the newest image processors that Canon sells. And that means that even though these cameras have the exact same sensor, the way they're going to process that information is different. So the T7i is going to have an ISO range from ISO 100 all the way to ISO 6400, and the Canon SL2 is going to have an ISO range of 100 all the way to 25,600. So the SL2 has 2 stops better ISO performance than the Canon T6. And it definitely shows in pictures. Look at the clarity difference between the SL2 and the T7 here in this picture. You can see that the SL2 has much better and cleaner noise at ISO 6400 than the T7 does. Both these cameras are relatively small, but the SL2 is just so much smaller than the Canon T7 is. The SL2 also does have Canon's newer STM 18-55mm lens, which is much smaller than the older 18-55mm non-STM lens. Not only is it smaller, but it's much sharper than the older non-STM 18-55mm lens. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to a detailed comparison of these two lenses against each other. I think a lot of you guys are going to like that video, so make sure to check it out after watching this one. But basically, the STM lens is much sharper and has smoother autofocusing system. Unfortunately, the T7 with the old 18-55mm lens, the front element actually moves and makes a lot of sound when manually focusing it or just when autofocusing it. So there really is a difference between both these cameras' kit lenses. The next big thing for me is the SL2 has a flip-out touchscreen, which is great if you are planning on filming yourself or taking selfies. It's also great to get hard-to-frame shots. You can really just angle it any way that you want, and it's really going to help you maneuver hard-to-get shots. The T7, on the other hand, has a fixed screen, and it doesn't tilt or anything like that. The SL2 also has a touchscreen, which is great for navigating the menu. It's also great because you can take a picture and then pinch to zoom and make sure that you have that key focus. Checking your key focus on the T7 unfortunately isn't as easy. You're going to have to press the magnifying button like 3 times and then zoom all the way in. Touchscreens are also great with the SL2 because you can tap to focus on somebody's face, and you can also tap to focus during video. Speaking of video, the SL2 can shoot 1080p at 60 frames a second, and the T7 can only shoot 1080p at 30. The Canon SL2 has Canon's dual pixel AF autofocusing system, which makes focusing during video a breeze. Unfortunately, the T7 does not. As far as sports and action photography goes, the SL2 can shoot 5.3 frames a second, and the T7 can only shoot 3. As far as battery life goes, the SL2 can shoot 650 frames on a single battery life, and the T7 unfortunately can only shoot 500. The SL2 has a plug-in for a 3.5mm audio jack, which allows you to plug a shotgun microphone or any external audio into this camera, and you don't have to worry about syncing it up later in post. Unfortunately, the T7 does not have that input, so you're going to have to buy an external audio recording device, and then you're going to have to worry about syncing it up later in post. It's going to be a real hassle. Basically, the T7 is definitely not meant for filming video. The Canon SL2 has dual stereo microphones, and the T7 only has a single microphone. So even without a shotgun microphone, the SL2 is going to have much better audio quality than the T7. You can record time lapses with the SL2. Right from the menu, you can select the option, and you can select how long the intervals are going to be, and it's going to work right out of the box. Unfortunately, it's not going to be so easy with the T7. You're going to have to buy external shutter release. It's going to be a whole big pain. Neither one of these cameras have a infrared receiver, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to use an infrared remote with these cameras, but that's okay because both these cameras have Wi-Fi and NFC, and that means you can download Canon's Camera Connect Connect app if you have a smartphone or even if you have a laptop, and then you can control these cameras remotely right from that app for absolutely free. As far as weight goes, both of these cameras are actually very similar. The SL2 weighs 453 grams and the T7 weighs 475 grams. So the T7 is going to be a little heavier than the SL2, but it's hardly a noticeable difference. The build quality on the SL2 seems to be definitely better than the T7. All the buttons feel a little bit more premium. The SL2 does have infinity mode valve, so you can keep going through them without having to worry about hitting an end. Unfortunately, if you're recording video and then you want to switch to manual focus pictures, you got to go through every single one of these settings to then get to it. Infinity mode dials are really nice because you don't have to worry about what direction you have to spin. All the buttons on the T7 are a little bit bigger than on the SL2, and I really like how big the buttons are on the T7. It's really easy to access them all, where with the SL2 you can still access them, but just a little bit harder to figure out what you are pressing while looking down the viewfinder. Both the T7 and the SL2 have their SD card slots on the wrong side of the camera. Unfortunately, the wrong side of the camera is going to be the bottom. So here's the SD card slot on the T7, and on the SL2, again, it is right here on the bottom. SD cards belong on the side of the camera because that means if you have your camera mounted to a tripod, you can easily take your SD card in and out of the camera without having to first remove your tripod plate. But to quickly recap, the SL2's lens is much better than the T7's lens. It has better battery life and also has better ISO performance. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the extra $100 to buy the SL2 over the T7 is still a great camera which is going to take fantastic pictures, just doesn't have as many pro features as the SL2 does. And that's fine, not everyone needs to have all the pro features found on the SL2. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure to give this video a big thumbs up down below, and of course make sure to subscribe to this channel and then be notified when I release new videos to this YouTube channel. Again, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.